him on the side of the head, breaking my hand in the process. Not the nose. I have no idea what happened to the nose. Cheap shots everywhere. But after that point, actually, the tide began to turn because I realized what would have happened if I hit Ben in the face. I really would have probably hurt him. I could have broken his face instead of my hand. And I really wanted to stop short of actually hurting my brother, who I truly loved. And Ben also cleverly recognized this, and that I wouldn't really want to hurt him, and learned that he could get away with a whole lot. I wouldn't really try to hurt him. So the counter assault began, and Ben discovered weapons. Playing basketball at the Turkises, another shout out, he'd pretend to go up for a layup, and go up and then throw the ball at me in the groin. He nearly concussed me once with a lacrosse stick. Another time cut me across the nose with a street sign. I got stolen while skiing in Vermont. Found on the street. Fortunately, from an older brother's perspective, around this time, Ben started to self-inflict wounds. I actually don't have time to list these all here. The most memorable one my dad tried to talk about last night was when Ben shot himself in the foot with a BB gun. Now, in a strange turn of events, usually kids imitate their favorite NFL players. Plaxico Burress imitating my brother by shooting himself. This is actually a funny story. I wasn't there to see this, but Ben told me all about it. I don't know if he told mom and dad, so this will be a first for them as well as most of you. This was an old kind of BB gun with an air rifle, no CO2. You had to pump it. And so Ben pumped it up once and shot it at his foot. And it turned out the BB bounced off his shoe. So Ben pumped it up twice. After only 2 pumps, there's actually a wedding night joke here, but I'm just going to skip that too. You guys let me have a mic, you know? Your fault. Big mistake. So after 2 pumps, the BB bounced off his shoe. So Ben pumps it 10 times. Congratulations, Ben, you have a BB in your foot. Through all this, and though we had some memorable later fights, the Greens may have heard something about us falling out of the car, fighting in their front yard after a tennis match. Through all this, Ben and I remained friends and brothers first and foremost. Really, ever since we were little, we had a rule that we'd never tell our parents on one another, no matter what we would do. We were brothers first, we just wouldn't tattletale, and there was this code among thieves or rumbling cats, whatever we were. Last page. And at least until I went to college, but maybe even after that, Ben and I would often sleep in the same room, even though we had our own bedrooms. We had trundle beds. This is the cute portion. We had trundle beds, presumably to have sleepovers with our friends. But really, I can't remember even having sleepovers until much older, anyway, with anybody but Ben. We'd take turns, and one night he'd pull out the bed in my room, and the next I'd pull out the bed in his. And we would just lie awake and joke around and talk until late in the night. And really, I think we did this until we were, too old. It's kind of embarrassing. When Ben and I got to high school, I think things were a little strained again for a time. Maybe I thought I was too cool for him to hang out with us. In the venerable tradition of high school boys, everywhere as an upperclassman, I had to date a freshman girl, which meant girls in Ben's class. I picked his best friend. And all junior and senior year, my friends and I would date his girls in his class, leaving nothing or little, really pretty much nothing for Ben. Told you, this is not the nice speech. So by the time I got to college, though, Ben and I were both equals and adults, and I realized I really liked having Ben come visit, and it was just, ever since, it's always just been great to hang out with Ben and see each other. Really, this is probably enough of our history. But the truth is that twice in my life before now, 2 close friends of mine have asked me to do this. I'm really lucky enough that I have really great friends. But there's really been nothing like this. My brother getting married and getting to be his best man. Ben and I are actually really alike. Not only do we look a lot alike, a couple people thought I was Ben this weekend. But we just are so alike, and I think that as much as any testosterone competition is the reason we butted heads over the years. Ben and I are just so alike. Except Ben's even nicer than I am. I can stand up here a lot nicer. Ben would probably not give a speech. And I can honestly say that Ben has the just best constitution, the nicest, most genuine personality of anybody you've ever met. And you guys all know that from the time Ben was my chubby-cheeked little brother, he's always been smiling. And the real achievement is that Hardest is the top, always smiling. Chris has made him smile even more. And I think you guys saw that today when they stood up there in front of us all and exchanged their vows. Chris, your turn. Chris, when I first heard about you from Ben and then later met you, I was a big fan. Not only was Ben dating a real live girl, but I just thought you were a good influence on Ben. But at the time I actually meant that in a somewhat narrow way, thinking your work ethic and responsibility and stability would help Ben grow up. You were like a good influence compared to a corrupting older brother, or a good influence compared to being under the influence. But I know now that you're a good influence on Ben in a much broader sense. You make him so happy, and you two just really complement each other so well. And this is where you run into the cliches, because it's just really hard to avoid cliches in talking about a happy couple. But the truth is I've never seen my really happy brother as happy as he is right now.
I agree.
So finally, really finally, please join me in raising your glasses in a toast. To Ben and Chris, may you treat each other as equals always, may you love each other always, and may this happiness only continue. L'chaim, Mazel Tov. I bet you didn't know I knew that much Hebrew. L'chaim, to Ben and Chris.
Ben and Chris.